Oh, I love Trump because he changes his mind more often than my wife changes our bed sheets. And this guy just goes on and on and on. He's one thing in the, he's flip flop, right? You know what the flip flops are, the slippers that we wear? So he flips one day and flops 1 hour and flops the next hour. Now, what do I make of this character? I make nothing of him. I just enjoy, just laugh at him. Of course, he's all for peace. He's all for diplomacy. He's all for dialogue, as long as the other fellow has to listen and Trump tells him what the terms of the peace will be, what the dialogue will be, what the diplomacy will be. The other character dares open his mouth, he gets clobbered. A lot of people will tell you that Israel's intention is to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. Absolute rubbish. Why does Iran want to develop a nuclear weapon? For what? Tastes good at breakfast? Gives it a certain global standing? Not at all. I'll tell you why. When the Mullah regime came in 1979, they booted out America's darling, the Shah of Iran. And so the Americans told a character called Saddam Hussein, who was the Shah of Iraq, go beat up these Iranians who have claims on their territory and they've been fighting with you over the Shatt al-Arab. That's the waterway that divides the two countries. Go take it, grab it. And here are the weapons, including chemical weapons. So Shri Saddam Hussein attacked Iran because he thought the mullahs were pretty useless and all the Shah's good generals and all had all run away. And he used chemical weapons for the first time. He didn't know how to make them, just as he hadn't a clue about how to make an atom bomb. The Iranians don't have a clue. So when he used those chemical weapons against the Iranians, that's when they decided, somewhere in the middle 80s, that look, this guy has got chemical weapons, we are going to develop an atom bomb. And then that became their sole agenda. Atom bomb, atom bomb, atom bomb. Now why? The idea was that they should never be exposed again or clobbered by a country called Iraq. They're a big country, Iran is big, they have lots of people, etc. And during the Shah's time, they were considered to be one of the most powerful nations in the region. The joke at that time was, as an American Defense Secretary said, following the oil price hike of 1973, the Shah came into so much of money that he ordered every weapon that the Americans had ever manufactured, including some that they hadn't even manufactured. So he just wanted to be the local chowkidar of the Indian Ocean region and tell the Americans, boss, I'm right here to stand by you. Then, of course, the Shah was booted out, etc. Now, what is happening is, ma'am, as far as Israel is concerned, what has the mullahs said about it? There was a time when, in the 70s, when I traveled through that region, every day there were several flights between Tehran and Tel Aviv. And young Iranians, boys and girls, would take those flights from Tehran to Tel Aviv to get drunk, to dance, to enjoy themselves, spend the weekend and come back. A completely open society, both sides, Iran as well as Israel. Israel still is a very open society, but Iran, unfortunately, is now controlled by the mullahs. So then the mullahs come and stop everything, and then the mullahs make a declaration. When this fellow Khamenei led the revolution in 1979, he said, America is the big Satan, Israel is the small Satan, and the small Satan has no right to exist. Every wretched Iranian leader says the Jews must be exterminated. Hitler didn't complete the job. They didn't say that, but that was their thought process. Maybe we should complete it. A terrible, terrible thing to say. Now, Israel, therefore, wants two things. The primary objective is the mullah regime must go, because for hundreds of years, thousands of years, as the Israeli prime minister said when he spoke to the Iranian people, we've had no problem with you. We are both people of the book. We had had wonderful relationship. Suddenly these jokers come and see what they have done to your beautiful country. You're looking at inflation of 80%. You're looking at unemployment of 50, 60%. Get out onto the streets and kick out these guys. He was appealing to the people of Iran, and I believe that appeal will be heard. So the first thing is boot out the present regime that has brought nothing but suffering to the people of Iran. And after you've booted it out, whichever regime replaces it, that is going to abandon forever. That's the hope, Iran's nuclear program. So we are not putting the cart before the horse. We are putting whatever we need to, wherever in its correct position. First, regime change, then denuclearization of Iran. You know, the Israelis have a very strong lobby in the United States. They have a lot of influence on political decision making, especially on foreign policy. I believe that he's hosted a lunch for that jihadi fellow from Atankistan. I think a chap called Mad Mullah Munir or something like that. I forget. He's having lunch with him in the White House with General and self-styled Field Marshal, the head of the Pakistani military. Now, why would Trump invite a general to have lunch with him in the White House? And by the way, the menu for the lunch, which is today on the 19th of June 2025. The menu includes jihadi biryani, atanki murga, katil dal, atamghati naan, and gaddar mithai. I mean, I'm joking, of course not. I've just invented this menu. So when I talk of jihadi biryani, etc., well, that fool is a jihadi. He's converted the whole Pakistani army into a jihadi organization. The reality is that during the time that the Americans were clobbering the Taliban in Afghanistan, they were using Pakistani air bases. Pakistan has a long border with Iran through Balochistan. What Munir is going to offer McDonald Trump is, listen, buddy, I'm your humble, obedient servant. Keep giving me money. Keep allowing my wife and children to buy apartments in New York and Washington and wherever. And then you can use my bases that you had used earlier to beat up the Taliban. Use them to enter Iran and effect regime change. This is the intention. This is the goal. This is why he's invited the guy. Once that fellow has served his purpose, he will be dispatched. The Americans do it all the time. Use, abuse, and discard, but the stupid Pakistanis don't seem to understand this. Therefore, Donald Trump saying that I have to go in now, and I believe in the next 48 hours, he will go in to throw these guys out. All this talk about peace and diplomacy and being nice and being polite, etc., this is all rubbish. It is not even deception, because everybody understands that you can't trust what the fellow says. He'll probably tell you this, when you meet him in the morning, he'll probably say, hello, my name is Donald Trump. By the evening, he would have become Peter Ace or something like that, no longer a Trump. So, he keeps changing his testimony, his views, his evidence, his beliefs every now and then. And therefore, I think that what we are going to see in the next 48 hours, that there will be kinetic American action through Pakistan and through Afghanistan in Iran to facilitate regime change. One, there are boots on the ground. They'll spread out across the country, pick up all those steel canisters where the enriched uranium is stored, not the bombs, the enriched uranium which is used to make bombs. And they will collect them, bring them, and then destroy them or do whatever they're supposed to do with it. Without putting boots on the ground, that will not be possible. So first, regime change. America will go in, regime change, and then goodbye nukes. We are going to sleep. Happy birthday. Enjoy the cake. See, Israel is fighting the war against Iran for its own survival. And if it wasn't Jews living there, and if they weren't so powerful in the United States, let's assume they were some other Baha'i community, for example. You think the Americans would care if Iran went and had them for breakfast? Not at all. It's because they are a powerful lobby in the United States that they were. Israel is fighting the war for its survival. Iran is dedicated to the extermination of the Jews. So Israel wants to live. They are fighting for their survival. If America comes along to help them, or I go along to help them, or Bhutan helps them, they'll say, well, thank you very much. Welcome. He's going to be America's facilitator. And once the Americans have achieved their purpose, they'll boot out Pakistan. They don't care. You think it's the Islamic Republic, it's not yet the Islamic United States. It's the United States. And Russians are not going to do anything. The latest news is that Russia might mediate, etc. I don't believe a word of this. And then the Chinese are too scared to do anything at all. No one is going to send even half a soldier to help Iran. They are on their own. Of course, the Israelis may not need soldiers from any other country, but the Iranians are in trouble because their military is disintegrating. Their generals have been eliminated or are defecting, running off wherever they can run off.